Welcome back here to pregame coverage of this Class 2A semi-state championship here at Huntington High School. Jimmy Howell, the head coach of the Lapel Bulldogs, is going to join us here. And, Coach, congratulations on the regional championship victories over Eastern of Greentown and then a real nail-biter against Oak Hill in the championship game. Take us through the 32 minutes of that championship game against Oak Hill. Certainly, I'm sure, was a classic battle there to take home the regional championship.
Yes, it was. We played really well for the first half. We were up, actually, at the end of 3, we were up 12. We were up 16 halfway through the third quarter, and Oak Hill's a very good, very big team. We kind of choked it off there at the end and turned it over a few too many times than what we wanted to. They even took the lead with 30 seconds to go, and we came down and scored with 8 seconds, and then were able to stop them and rebound the ball to close it out. But it was a very good team. Large crowd, sellout crowd. I think by 7 o'clock, the game was 8 o'clock, and I think by 7:15 we had sold out on the doors. So it was a fun game.
And Coach, this has been a long ride for Lapel with the sectional for the first time since 2005, as well as the regional championship and that magical year back for the Bulldogs. What has made this team special from the beginning of the year to pick up 24 wins and 28 outings and go through the meat grinder of the postseason for you?
Well, we've got a bunch of kids that really don't care who scores. We've got several kids that have stepped up. 7 kids that have all double figures several games. Our 2 leading scorers averaging 15 and 14, and they, if they don't get their shots, they don't really care. They just want to win. In fact, our leading scorer, I think, got 6 in the final game against Oak Hill. So it's a very well-balanced team. We defend very well in the half court, and they just really like each other.
And, Coach, you talked about your 2 leading scorers, Cameron Harrington, along with John Ross Richardson. The other gentleman whose stats really jump out is Tristan Carpenter, your 6'4" senior, averaging 10-4 a game, but 9 rebounds a contest. He's got 89 offensive rebounds this season. 6'4" is a good height for a forward, but certainly talk a little bit about his moxie and being able to get that inside position for you on the offensive glass.
Yeah, he's just a battler. He's an extremely hard-working kid. He's let us in charges taken. I don't know, he's probably, most games he usually draws 1 or 2 charges. Has gotten to be a much better shooter over the last 4 years compared to what he was early in his career. He's over a 70% free throw shooter, and he was lucky to be 50% the first 3 years. So he's really improved a lot in that area, and he just busts it all the time.
Welcome back here to Huntington High School for this Class 2A semi-state championship game here on RRSN.com, Regional Radio Sports, in partnership with the IHSAA Champions Network. We're going to bring on Scott Krieger, the head coach of the Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers. And, Coach, congratulations on the regional championship over at North Judson High School, wins over Westview and the Hammond Bishop Knoll Warriors. And I know in watching those 2 programs for the last several years, Coach, those are not easy teams to defeat at that level of the tournament. So kind of take us through the 2 ball games and let us know how the Cavaliers got the job done.
Sure. 2 distinctly different teams, 2 distinctly different approaches to the game. Westview is super young. They've got 3 freshmen in the starting lineup, bring a couple more off the bench, but they're well coached. And have been for years. They've just been one of the really solid teams in our part of the state. We just did a good job. I mean, there wasn't anything that we did that was special. We defended well. We rebounded well. We got up and down the floor. We took care of the basketball. All the things that you need to do in the tournament setting. We were able to do, and we were solid and hit free throws, and the second part of the second half, we really were able to just kind of pull away and get comfortable. In the evening game with Bishop Knoll, they're a team that's been not big at all, but they're going to go. They're going to get in you defensively. They're going to try to break you down off the dribble. and they guard really well. So in that particular game, Tanner Camp was huge. In fact, he had a great weekend, but he did a great job defending the rim, which allowed our other guys to go out and play a little more aggressively on the perimeter and not let the Knoll shooters get started. Roman Penn finally started to run through some screens, and he hit some shots late in the third quarter and got him back in it. But about as quickly as that happened, then we stretched the lead back out again, and it ended up 3. They had a shot at the buzzer, but for the most part, our guys just were really solid with the lead. So, two different games, 2 different approaches, 2 different preparations, and you play them on the same day. That's really quite an achievement for our guys.
And Coach Jalen Paul, your 5'8" junior, has had a tremendous scoring year for you. 18.4 a game. He's hit 49 trays from beyond the arc this season. Possibly being lost in his great play is the fact that he sees his teammates in the offensive scheme and gives them the basketball in the proper spots on the floor with those 118 assists this year. He certainly has a balanced game, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. And I think one of the things that Jalen has done through the progression of this season is he has begun to trust his teammates a little bit more. He's been good about finding them in transition. He's been good about delivering the basketball, getting it on time where it needs to be. Less concerned about his scoring, yet his scoring has not suffered because of that. Because now he's delivering the ball to his teammates, and the opponent has to worry about matching up with them as well. And so now he's not getting all the special coverage that he got earlier. And he's really, he's a tough kid to guard one-on-one. He's tough to keep in front of you, and not even Bishop Knoll was able to do that. He, I think, shot 12 free throws against them, and it was basically just him on the attack when that happened. And they tried some different things, and none of them really worked. But his development as a floor leader continues. You think, okay, he's a coach's kid, and he's played a ton of basketball, but he learns every day. And
that was head coach Scott Krieger of the Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers. Good afternoon, everybody. Mike Knezovich, Chris Adzia, Ryan Knezovich back with you here for game number 2 of our doubleheader on RRSN.com, Regional Radio Sports and the IHSAA Champions Network. We've crowned one champion here in Class 1A. Chris Adzia should have a great matchup here coming up in 2A.
Number 2 ranked Lapel Bulldogs here in 2A come in at 24-4. Fort Wayne Canterbury unranked at 16-10. A battle of 2 great coaches here when you look at this coaching matchup. Jimmy Howe, 563 victories in his 35th year overall, 201 victories in his 12th year at Lapel. Has coaching stops at Mount Vernon, Muncie South, and Brownsburg. And then, of course, Coach Krieger spent a long time with the girls program and has 4 state titles under his belt with the girls program, a couple sectional titles with the boys program now here at Fort Wayne Canterbury.
We're getting set to send it down to Chant Thompson, the PA announcer here, with the introduction of our starting lineups for game number 2 here in Class 2A. The winner of this game, of course, will play for the 2A title coming up next Saturday against the winner of Indianapolis Howe and Providence. And it looks like Indianapolis Howe won that ball game 70-62, Chris. So the winner of this game knows their opponent on the 26th of March.
In Indianapolis Howe ranked number 7, now 23-7 on the year.
Oh, Victor Pan, Keegan McArdle, Jimmy Shantz, Jamison Klein, Cam Krieger, Max Moyle, Mezzi Jamanta. And now our welcome to Principal Bob Shantz, Athletic Director Ken Harkenrider, and here is Head Coach Scott Krieger's starting lineup for the Canterbury Cavaliers. First of all, a 6'5" senior center, number 44, Tanner Camp. A 6'2" senior forward, number 30, Jack Bogarowski. A 6'4" senior forward, number 22, Nathan White. At one guard, 5'8", junior, number 4, Jalen Paul. And rounding out Scott Krieger's starting lineup for the Cavaliers, 6'2" senior guard, number 3, Justice Boyce. And now, ladies and gentlemen, our welcome to Dr. Bobby Fields, Chad Kimberly, and the Lapel Bulldogs. First of all, here's the non-starters for the Bulldogs this afternoon. Andrew Hunt, Connor Gill, Luke Richardson, Caleb Bloom, Levi Frazier, Ross Hagan, Austin Lyons, Will Jones, and Josiah Hudson. And now here is head coach Jimmy Howell, starter for the Lapel Bulldogs. First of all, a 6'4" senior forward, number 54, Tristan Carpenter. A 6'2" sophomore forward, number 42, Preston Scott. A 6'4" senior forward, number 34, Brady Smith. A 6'6" junior guard, number 14, John Ross Richardson. And rounding out Coach Jimmy Howell's starting lineup for the Bulldogs, 6'3" senior guard, number 10, Cameron Harrington. It's our privilege this afternoon to have Jason Ferguson, Jeffrey Nix, and Mark Maxwell as our officials. And David George serves as the alternate next to me here at the scores table. Gentlemen, let's play ball.
Great job by Chant Thompson with the public address announcement here, Chris, and certainly a tall order here, literally speaking, for the Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers against Lapel.
Well, no player under 6'2" in the starting lineup, and you look at Richardson, a 6'6" guard.
And just as I say that, the Cavaliers get the opening tip.
Cavaliers go 6'5" and 6'4" and 6'2" along their front line.
Nice spinorama move by double deuce Nathan White to get the Cavaliers off to a quick start.
Cavaliers man-to-man as well, Mike.
Preston Scott, a great story that we'll talk about later on in the video cast. Carpenter got a half a step on the defense, rejected by the Cavaliers and deflected around and controlled on the court. There's a tie-up on the play. Alternate possession will stay with the Bulldogs.
A great intensity to start this ball game by the Cavaliers. Jack Wojciechowski, the first one to the ground that time, tying up the ball.
Good hustle by the guard for the Bulldogs. Long three-pointer put up and good, and we got our first lead change as Harrington gets his 53rd tray of the year.
Well, he shoots it from downtown at 33%. Looks smooth on that one to open the ball game.
Jalen Paul now is able to give the Cavs the lead as he tickles the onion sack for the 48th time this year.
Well, Mike, we just saw a ball game that went 103 to 80. Can it be matched here in Game 2 at Huntington?
Well, Lapel coming in at both of these teams right at 63 points. First turnover on the Bulldogs as the Cavs come back the other way and they commit an offensive foul. So both teams get their first turnover of the afternoon.
Jason Paul didn't like the call. He thought the defender was underneath the basket after the turnover. Cavaliers now with some full court pressure. Looks to be man-to-man.
5-3 lead right off the get-go here for the Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers. Preston Scott now between the rings, quarterback in the offense for the 24-4 Bulldogs. Three-pointers off the mark by Harrington, and a battle for it. It's controlled by Jalen Paul for the Cavs. Boyce now off the right side, goes past the elbow, and he took a walk on the wild side.
A great turnout from the Lapel community here to our left, Mike, and What do you think's going on back home in Lapel? There's not much.
I hope somebody turned off the light on the way out.
It would be tough to get lunch right now, I'll tell you that.
Liberty Christian folks are certainly sticking around as well, as Preston Scott now ran out of real estate. And that'll be the second turnover now on Lapel.
Well, the folks from Lapel were the first ones in line this morning before game one as well upon our arrival, and they did a great job supporting their hometown rival, Liberty Christian, in the 1A game.
Yeah, don't be too fooled by that record of Fort Wayne Canterbury. They played up a lot of times this season, and double deuce now. Nathan White picks up his 4th point. He averages 11-7 a game. Cavaliers up by 4, 7-3, taking it all the way to the rack, and missing the shot is Richardson. Jalen Paul now brings it back for the blue-clad Cavs. White flashes it inside now to Camp. Tanner cut off, goes off the right side, and a blocking foul called on the drive there by Wojciechowski.
And Brady Smith will get called for the foul. He was off balance a little bit trying to guard that baseline drive by Jack.
Paul trying to come off the screen. Instead, they're going to go deep on the play to the leading scorer, Tanner Camp, or the leading rebounder. Check that. Paul, the leading scorer at 18-4. Camp leading with 11 caroms a game. Paul's first shot of the ball game off the mark. Richardson comes down with the rebound for the Bulldogs. Hesitation move. Back up high now to Harrington. Trying to go to Scott in the quarter. Instead, it'll be Richardson. Beautiful pass to Carpenter for the deuce.
A great ball movement by the Bulldogs for the easy 2.
Usually try to discourage that bounce pass through the lane, but that was the lane that he had there to get it to the center. Coming up on the halfway part of the first quarter. As Chris mentioned, we almost had 200 points put up in the Class A game. A little bit slower pace in this one.
A little bit. It's scary to think this Lapel Bulldog ball club beat Liberty Christian earlier this year. That was an impressive performance by Liberty.
Nice hook there by Camp, but it went off the back of the heel, took the paint off the rim. Harrington comes down with the rebound for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs trail it 7-5. Good job of cutting off by Paul. Scott for the lead. Took the paint off the rim, and the rebound down to Wojciechowski for the Cavs.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot them very often. Only a 16th three-point attempt this year.
Boyce's three-pointer is good from the left wing. His 9th of the year.
Well, Fort Wayne Canterbury not really impressed right now by this number 2 ranking of the Bulldogs. They come out with a lot of poise here to start the semi-state.
10-5 lead for the blue-clad visitors on the score sheet. Scott flashes in, rejected on the play by double fours Tanner Camp. Paul swings it over to Boyce. Bounce pass, tried to get it into Tanner. Rugby scrum on the floor. Now Paul's shot is up and no good, and the rebound comes down to Brady Smith for the Bulldogs.
Tough shot that time by Paul. He was open, but he had to leap over a defender that was on the ground in front of him before the shot.
10-5 lead for Canterbury, 3:19 remaining. Now Harrington is a post up on Carpenter. Skip pass through the lane. Three-pointer up and no good on the play by Brady Smith. And the Cavaliers right now keeping everything on the perimeter. Tanner Camp had it go down the well and come back out. Harrington now at the left elbow. Scott passed up on a wide open 15-footer.
Yeah, they're going to give him that shot, it appears, as well.
Richardson from the right elbow off the heel of the rim. Got his own rebound. Couldn't get it to go. Scott was too far underneath the basket. Camp gets the rebound. 2.5 remaining in a rapidly played first quarter. Only 2 fouls committed so far. Paul over to Boyce. Up and under. Couldn't get it to go. Tipped by Camp. Couldn't get it to go. Tanner got the offensive rebound. Jalen Paul now nice and rejected. His bodies go flying all over the lane.
Now credit Brady Smith with that rejection. Another tough shot attempt by Jalen Paul off 1 foot in traffic. At only 5'8". He got the ball rejected. He is Fort Wayne's leading scorer, as you said, at 18 a ball game.
Will Jones, along with Austin Lyons, come off the bench for Jimmy Howell. Meanwhile, Jamison Klein getting set to come in for Coach Krieger and the Cavs. 2 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Third turnover in the first stanza by the Cavaliers.
Austin Lyons did a great job fronting the cutter that time on the defensive end for the Bulldogs.
Harrington's going to draw the foul on Paul, and that's now 2 personals on the leading scorer for Coach Krieger. So Jamison Klein, 5.8 points per ball game. A 5'11 senior will come in now for Fort Wayne Canterbury. Lapel has been doubled up by the Cavs. It's 10-5.
And Coach Krieger doesn't think twice about leaving Jalen Paul in the ballgame with those 2 fouls.
Harrington off the right side now. Nice foot movement there by Klein. Now Carpenter in the twilight zone with 1:30 remaining. Here in the first stanza, 10-5 lead for Fort Wayne Canterbury. The Cavaliers really denying the 3-point shot right now. Carpenter burrows his way in, rejected by Camp, got it back and scored. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Coming up on 1 minute remaining in the first quarter. Jalen Paul averaging 18-4 a ball game. Great crowd on hand, enthusiastic. Now a little drive off the right side. Boyce tried to tip the miss there by Klein, but couldn't get it to go. Lapel trailing it by 3, a half a minute remaining here in the first quarter. Will Jones back out high. Looks like Jimmy Howell maybe wants to go for one here.
Well, the pace of the game is where Lapel wants it right now, Mike. They only average 45.5 shot attempts a ball game. Comparatively speaking, from that 1A game, Gary 21st Century shot the ball 75 times, and Liberty Christian 63.
137 shot attempts in that game. Harrington from the left elbow, couldn't get it to go. Carpenter with a tip attempt. Camp gets the rebound, and that will complete the first quarter here. And a great defensive effort by Fort Wayne Canterbury in the first 8 minutes of this ball game. They lead it by a score of 10-7. 3 turnovers for the Cavaliers in the first quarter, 2 for the Lapel Bulldogs. No free throw shot for either ball club in the first stanza here. And I tell you what, Chris Adzia, right now this is certainly the pace that Coach Scott Krieger and the Cavs want.
No doubt about it. They come out with confidence. Did Coach Krieger's group to take this early lead. Only 5 players in the scoring column for both ball clubs. The leading scorer is Tristan Carpenter. He has 4 points. Cameron Harrington has 3 points for the Lapel Bulldogs. For the Cavaliers, 3 players in the scoring column. Nathan White had 4 points. Jalen Paul, 3 points, and Justice Boyce with 3 points. The Cavaliers, 2 of 4 from downtown, and the Lapel Bulldogs, 1 of 4 to start the ball game.
In the Class 1A game, Liberty Christian shot 72.7% from the field to win the ball game going away over Gary 21st Century. So 10-7 lead for the Cavaliers as we start the second quarter. 7:49 remaining in the first half. Man-to-man defense for the Bulldogs.
Soft man-to-man for the Bulldogs.
Drive to the basket, up and over, and no good on that acrobatic attempt by Jamison Klein. Cavaliers get the offensive glass.
3 offensive rebounds here in the early going for the Cavaliers.
Paul over to Tanner Camp, and he tickles the twine from 17.
He averages a double-double, 12.5 points and 11 rebounds per contest. Already has 2 block shots as well this ball game.
Ryan Knezevich capturing all the sights and sounds here behind the camera this afternoon. And our semi-state matchup in 2A, little spinorama move by John Ross Richardson, the leading scorer, and he gets his first 2 points here this afternoon.
At 6'6", he's listed as a guard, but certainly could go down low as well.
Tanner Camp's shot is off the mark. They are letting him reach over the top on both ends on the glass. Letting him play. Will Jones now. They post up down in the block now by Harrington. He's got the height advantage. Kick it back out to the newly inserted number 30, Austin Lyons. And he gets his 20th tray in our first tie of the ball game.
Nice inside-out action that time by the Bulldogs, spotting up to the basket.
Jamison Klein's shot is off the mark. Rebound down to the Bulldogs in a 12-12 tie. 2 minutes into the third quarter now. A reach-in foul going to be called on Jamison Klein, his first.
The Lapel wanted some body contact on Klein last time down, didn't get it. That time there was a little bit of body contact that they were letting go, but then he reached to create the foul.
Cam Krieger, the coach's son, comes into the game, a 6'2 sophomore, averaging 3.8 off the bench. 6:11 remaining here in the first half. Richardson, they double down on him. Weak side pass now to Lyons with a little baby hook in the lane. It was down the well and came back out.
Lapel's defense has really tightened up a little bit. It's nothing fancy. It's a soft man-to-man, great positioning. They only give up 47.8 points a ball game. Not very many good looks the last few possessions for Canterbury.
Now a nice bank shot and a front runner there by Tanner Camp. He's got 4 points all in this quarter. Harrington gets cut off nicely by the aforementioned Cap. In the corner, Lyons likes the tray, but he left it long. And Boyce comes down with the weak side rebound for the Cavs. Now Justice having some trouble as he gets tied up, and that's going to be a turnover on the Cavaliers, their fourth.
Great hands by Lapel's defenders. They had him over on that sideline, double teamed. Right before he got rid of the ball, it was stripped away.
Boy, great crowd on hand here to the left of your screen. It is just a sea of black and white and gold to our left there.
First quarter shooting stats, 36.4% for the Cavaliers on 4 of 11 shooting, 3 of 15 for 20% for the Lapel Bulldogs.
Carpenter's shot is off the mark. Weak side rebound, corralled down low, and the shot is missed by Richardson. They are really letting them play down low. And back the other way and drawing the foul is Jamison Klein, and he'll go to the line to shoot two.
Should be on Wojciechowski. Nice job by Klein in transition. Strike that. Austin Lyons will pick up the foul.
Did a really good job there, Chris, of keeping his body between the defender and the basketball.
He protected the basketball nicely. He drew the foul first and had the ball in a position where he was still able to try to get a finish at the basket.
Klein, a 68% free throw shooter, misses that one. Tanner Camp being instructed to stay in by Max Moyle, the multiple sport athlete here for Fort Wayne Canterbury.
One NCAA final, Mike, in the books already today. Miami 65 over the Shockers from Wichita State 57.
What, no upset?
I think things are going to start to calm down a little bit now in day 2 or second round action.
Klein missed them both. Camp got in there, but then they're going to call him over the back. And that's number 1 now on the 6'5 senior for the blue-clad Cavs.
That's 6'5. He's a bruiser.
Coach Jimmy Howell talking about, or check that, Coach Krieger talking about the contributions that number 10, Max Moyle, has given to this team, which do not end up on the score sheet. Now a nice runner in the lane and put up and good off the baseline by Will Jones.
Well, the Bulldogs getting some good scoring contributions off the bench this quarter.
Now getting the kind roll was Jamison Klein for the deuce. 16-14 Cavs coming up on the halfway part of the second quarter. Will Jones now outside to Tristan Carpenter. Left side free throw line extended. We'll swing it over now to the right side. Alley-oop, Richardson banked it short. Tanner Camp clears the glass for the Cavs. Wojciechowski coast to coast, and he's going to draw the Bulldog charge off the right side.
Turnover number 5 on the Cavaliers.
Richardson right now making sure that he's in the 2-6-0. .4:11 remaining in the first half. We've had 2 ties and 2 lead changes so far this afternoon in this 2A matchup. So glad you could join us on RRSN.com and the IHSAA Champions Network. Harrington up high, beats the double team. Jones now down on the baseline to Carpenter. Will now kicks it back out. Good ball movement by the Bulldogs. Harrington's shot no good, and then an over-the-back call on the offensive rebound attempt there by Carpenter.
6'4" senior tried to go up over the top. We've seen a number of tap second chance attempts from both of these ball clubs. That time they did get the over the back, which was the correct call.
3:44 remaining in the half. 16-14. Fort Wayne Canterbury with the lead and the basketball. The winner gets Indianapolis Howe next Saturday. Tanner Camp's tray is short. Rebound to Carpenter for the Bulldogs. Got a good look there. Weave up high now as Will Jones takes it in. He's got to get out of there with the 3-second call. Canterbury fans looking for the walk.
Sagging way off of Jones in the corner.
Harrington is the one outside threat that they have with 52 trays out of their 131 this year. They picked up another 20 from Richardson and 33 from Brady Smith. Carpenter back out with a dangerous pass. 3-point attempt by Lions, way off the mark. Carpenter inside for the deuce. Third tie of the afternoon. Now Klein's pass deflected by his numerical counterpart, and Canterbury's able to get a timeout. Heads up play there on the far side by Nathan White for the Cavaliers.
Well, that saves possession. Every possession big in this ball game, Mike. As you said, we've already had 3 ties and a couple lead changes. We're all knotted at 16 with 2:41 left here in the second quarter in a rapidly played first half. And I don't mean the pace of the game. It's been a half-court style type game here in this 2A semi-state.
If you're just joining us, we did also note in our first broadcast that the 3A game down at Lafayette Jefferson at Marion Crowley Athletic Center has been canceled because of a accident involving the bus that was taking the Griffith team down to the 3A semi-state championship against Marion. They have not announced when the makeup date will be played. 2:24 going at it now in the backcourt. And a foul going to be called on Will Jones, and that draws the ire of the Lapel faithful.
Yeah, he was working awful hard on the defensive end that time. That was a foul waiting to happen. Thought he did a pretty good job of getting Klein a little bit out of control and then reached at the last moment.
Preston Scott back into the ball game for Lapel, replacing Austin Jones. 16-16 tie. Max Morrow goes into the backcourt. Soccer star for head coach Greg Mauk and the multiple state champion Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers soccer program. Klein had some trouble in the backcourt. Finally gets bailed out on the play.
Well, the Bulldogs really starting to pressure the ball a little bit more than what we've seen in the first 8 minutes.
2:11 remaining in the half, and now a turnover. Back the other way, Carpenter over to Will Jones, and he got fouled, and he'll go to the line to try to give the Bulldogs the lead. We talk about it all the time, Chris. Points off turnovers.
That's a second foul on Tanner Camp. That very well might be an offensive foul in the NBA. Typically not at this level, though, with the off arm. Will Jones did a nice job keeping the defender away from him to draw the foul.
He's a 58% free throw shooter, but looked like he was shooting stuffed animals at the carnival on that one.
Well, Lapel has played a very soft man-to-man through about 14 minutes of this ball game. The last minute or two, they started ramping up the ball pressure, Mike, and it's game-changing type ball pressure right now.
Third lead change of the game as both Boyce along with White coming back into the lineup for Coach Krieger. 2 minutes remaining in the first half. Fort Wayne Canterbury trailing it by 2 now. Jalen Paul back in there over to Boyce. Justice now back over top of the key to the leading scorer for the boys from the Summit City. And now a blocking foul going to be called on Carpenter. And Coach Jimmy Howell yelling at his pivot man, telling him to move his feet. So that's 2 personals now on Carpenter and 2 on Camp, as well as Paul. So some of the top players for both of these ball clubs in a little bit of foul trouble.
Only 11 combined fouls here so far. Neither team has yet to get in the bonus. The next foul on the Cavaliers will send Lapel to the line.
We've only had two fouls shot by either team. Paul now knifes through the defense, and they're going to call a foul on the floor. And now both ball clubs, one more foul will send the other to the line, 1 in the bonus.
And Jalen Paul at 5'8", I think if he was 5'9", and another pound on him, probably wouldn't have been able to sneak through that opening, but a nice jump stop in between 2 defenders.
Weak side pass off the inbound by Nathan White, and he scored on a bank shot. Tie number 4 this afternoon at 18. 1:20 remaining in the first half. Preston Scott now on the wing over to Harrington. Cameron with a right-handed dribble drive, kicks it in. They call an offensive foul. Max Moyle again doing the little things for Coach Krieger.
Well, this is certainly a defensive battle right now. I've been impressed with both ball clubs with their positioning on the defensive end, just absolutely perfect.
I already had 2 fouls on Smith.
I did as well.
Yeah, they haven't put it. Oh, there they go. So it's on Harrington. 1 minute remaining here in the first half. Paul got away with a walk as well as a push-off. Max Moyle now over here to the near side to Nathan White. 18-18 tie. Boyce now brings it back out with 48 seconds remaining in the first half. Let's see if the Cavs take the air out of the pumpkin here. Paul between the rings, kick save and a beauty by the Bulldogs. And now we're down to 40 seconds remaining in the first half.
Well, you'd like to get the last shot opportunity of the half, see if you can't take a lead into the locker room. Easier said than done now with the pressure that the Bulldogs are applying to the basketball.
They're really coming up towards the midcourt stripe. And now Coach Krieger showing that he wants to go for 1 here and at least get in with a tie, if not the lead, here at the halftime. 17 seconds remaining, Chris.
I get the impression the Lapel faithful aren't very happy with the officiating right now.
And now a 5-second call going to be made here on Paul. Looked like he was driving to the basket, but they made the call before the drive to the hoop.
Plenty of time to get a good look here for the Bulldogs. 11.1 remaining before halftime.
18-18 tie here. Klein will now come back in. Good move by Coach Krieger to keep Paul out of getting that 3rd foul.
Great move.
Here we go. Harrington brings it up. Down to 6 seconds. 3-pointer up and no good. Scott trying to get the weak side rebound. It's corralled by the Cavaliers. They shoot it past the horn and over the backboard and off the stanchion. And that completes the first half of action here in a rapidly played first half here at Huntington North High School in this Class 2A semi-state championship ball game. The score here at the end of the first half of play, the Fort Wayne Canterbury Cavaliers 18 and the Lapel Bulldogs 18. Fort Wayne Canterbury had the lead at the end of the first quarter 10-7, but then an 11-8 run by Lapel in the second quarter has resulted in a tie here at the end of 16 minutes of action, Chris.
Not a lot of free throws thus far in this ball game. Only 2 from both sides.